Hello students, the Minimum Wages Act was passed for the welfare of the labourers. In this video, we will learn about scope of this act and its salient features. The Minimum Wages Act has been enacted to secure the welfare of the workers by providing for minimum wages in certain employment. The National Commission on Labour has described the passing of the act as landmark in the history of labour legislation in the country. In the Unicoi versus State of Kerala case in 1962, the philosophy of the Minimum Wages Act and its significance in the context of conditions in India has been explained by the Supreme Court. The Act also provides the appropriate definition to terms such as appropriate government, employer, scheduled employment, wages and employee. The Minimum Wages Act empowers the government to fix minimum wages for employees working in specified employments. It provides for review and revision of minimum wages already fixed after suitable intervals not exceeding 5 years. The Act also provides for regulation for working hours, overtime, weekly holidays and overtime wages. The appropriate government may fix time work rate, piece work rate, guaranteed time rate and overtime rate. The minimum rate of wages may consist of Number 1. A basic rate of wages and a cost of living allowance. Number 2. A basic rate of wages with or without the cost of living allowance and the cash value of the concessions in respect of essential commodities supplied at concessional rates. Number 3. An all-inclusive rate. In a recent case, Messrs. The Endure Private Limited versus State of UP and others in 2011, the Rajasthan High Court held that when wages of workers are more than the minimum rates of wages, no separate VDA, Variable Dearness Allowance, as declared by the authorities under Minimum Wages Act will be applicable since the total pay package is more than the pay package under the said government order. This Act requires the wages shall be paid in cash, but in particular cases, the appropriate government authorize the payment of wages either wholly or partly in kind. Period and payment of wages and deductions from wages are also regulated. In a landmark judgment, People's Union for Democratic Rights versus Union of India in 1982, which is also known as Asiad Workers case, the Supreme Court held that where children below the age of 14 years are employed in violation of the Employment of Children Act 1938 and minimum wages are denied either to such children or to other person who by reason of poverty are unable to approach the court, legal redress is sought to them. Payment of less than the minimum rates of wages notified by the appropriate government is an offence. The Act provides for appointment of inspectors and authorities to hear and decide claims arising out of payment of wages at less than the minimum rates of wages or remuneration for days of rest or of work done on such days or of overtime wages. The Central Advisory Board is constituted by the central government for the matter of fixation and revision of minimum rates of wages and to coordinate and advise on any matters within the scope of this Act. Section 13 of the Act empowers the appropriate government to fix the number of hours of work in a day, weekly holiday and the payment of overtime wages. Further, Section 14 provides that when an employee works on any day in excess of the number of hours constituting a normal working day, the employer shall pay him the overtime rate fixed under this Act. Apart from paying of the minimum wages, the employer is required under Section 18 to maintain registers and records giving such particulars of employees in a prescribed manner. Section 22 of the Act deals with complaints made for violation of the provisions of the Act and for imposing penalties for offences committed under the Act. Students, in this video, we learnt about Number 1. Minimum Wages Act 1948. Number 2. Important definitions. Number 3. Sections and provisions under the Act. And number 4. Judgments by various courts interpreting the law. Trust you will find this information useful.